he used to work for Puffy. He saw what was happening and he literally rescued her from this man. He helped her make her escape. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I try to stay away from topics that are kind of disturbing in nature. But this was one that I felt like maybe there's something that I can contribute to the conversation that I'm not hearing a lot of people say. As most of us know, singer Cassie filed a civil lawsuit against Puff Daddy. They were in a relationship for over 10 years. And in this lawsuit, she alleges that he committed several acts against her. I'm going to be very careful what kind of language I use because, as you know, YouTube demonetizes content that covers certain explicit topics. So she accuses him of SA. She accuses him of the R word, also emotional and other forms of physical A. It really broke my heart to hear the story she told about her time with him. And it was important for me to do this video because, as we know, she made this accusation. She sued him for $30 million in civil suit. A lot of people thought, well, why are you suing civilly? Why not in criminal court? And she eventually, the following day, Puffy decided to settle. We don't know how much money he gave her. My guess is she ended up getting more than the $30 million she was asking. And it was clear that he wanted this to go away. So they settled the following day. And this was very disappointing to a lot of people. And this is what I want to say to all the people who are disappointed. Cassie had no choice. She did have the choice, if I'm not mistaken, of going to criminal court. Her relationship with him, the time period of when it occurred, it was still within the statute of limitation for the state of New York, from what I understand. If I'm mistaken, somebody correct me in the comment section, but I believe that she was still within the time frame to take him to criminal court. But she decided to go through civil court because what people don't understand is the bar to convict civilly is a lot lower than to convict somebody in criminal court. In criminal court, you have to go through some really high hurdles to prove beyond reasonable doubt that something happened. I believe that Cassie knew this, and she knew that she was going to have a really hard time getting a conviction in criminal court. So she decided to go through civil court. And remember this, if you read the case, if you read the complaint, you will see that Puffy was very smart. One of the things that she alleges was that he would engage in this ritual that he called freak-offs or FOs, in which they would hire S workers and he would force her to engage in adult activities with the S workers while he watched and filmed what was happening. And that's when I knew that this man was very smart, and that's why he has been able to get away with these things for a long time. In the complaint, she says that he would make sure that she was the one who would solicit the workers. She would contact them to invite them to the hotel rooms to engage in this kind of activity. Also, she alleges that in order to just be able to get through these very traumatic situations, she would have to be pumped full of illicit substances so that she could basically just check out and not be mentally present while this was happening. So many of these substances she would have to take that she mentioned that many times the day after she would have to get IV drips to flush these substances out of her body because she had taken so many the day before. And he made sure that these prescriptions that she took were in her name, that she was the one who requested it, that it was done in her name, that he was never the one who was on the record getting these substances. Even for himself, she would not only make sure to procure these substances for herself, but also for him. So he did all of this to cover himself. So if she ever got to a court of law and accused him in criminal court, all the evidence would point that these activities were initiated by her and that these substances were procured by her. So she really had a really tall hurdle to go over in criminal court to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that this was something that was done to her and that she was not, as it would appear, a willing participant. So based on this alone, I believe that Cassie had no choice but to go through civil court. And let's face it, guys, whether she settled the day after or if she had been going back and forth for months, she achieved what she wanted to achieve. Number one, she hit him where it hurts. She hit him in his pockets. He had to pay a substantial sum of money. Like I said, I don't believe that she settled for anything less than what she asked, which was the $30 million. She probably got more than that because Puffy understood that now that these things were out, he needed to shut that conversation down as soon as possible. Also, I believe that Cassie held on to more information, more egregious, more embarrassing information for Puffy. If you think this is bad, what we've read in her declaration, I don't even want to know. I'm glad that I don't know what she did not tell us. And Puffy knew that if they went to court, that was going to come out. That once she sat on the stand, that it was going to come out. And as disgusted as we are with him right now, we would be beyond appalled by the things that came out. So number one, she hid him in his pockets. Number two, she exposed what was happening. She was able to remove this facade of what Puffy wanted us to believe that he was. He has been reinventing himself over the years. He has changed his name over the years. And the latest iteration of his image, he's been calling himself Brother Love, pretending to be this kind-hearted person who wants peace and love and harmony with everyone. She was able to dismantle that. When they were together, they seemed like such a beautiful golden couple. She was beautiful and young and seemed so well taken care of by this powerful man. And now we know what was really happening behind the scenes. And it has completely taken away this image of the good guy that he had up until now. Even though we've always heard rumors about him, because nobody ever came out, and especially because the women he had had relations with, the mothers of all his children, they were always around. Even long after the relationship ended, they were going to his parties whenever he was taking people on yachts. All the baby mamas were there. It seemed like whatever we heard about him, it's clear that the people who know him the most stick around because he's probably really a good guy. And now we know that that's not the case. And now we know that Kim Porter, his, I believe, longest lasting relationship and the mother of most of his children, she has 3 children, 3 of his biological children, and he adopted her firstborn. So 4 of his, 7 children at this point, she gave birth to. She's dead now. Even at the time of her death, before any sinister information came out about Puffy, the circumstances surrounding her sudden unexplained death seemed questionable at best. But now we know, based on what we have heard from Cassie, that Kim perished with most of his secrets. And it's making her demise even more suspicious. There are 2 other babies' mothers, no, 3 actually, because he just had a baby with another one, who we are now looking to, wondering what did they know and when did they know it. It is very difficult for me to cope with the fact that Cassie went through this for over a decade. And there were so many people around them who knew what was happening. And they did nothing to stop it. And it makes me look at her husband now with even more admiration. I don't know what's going on in their relationship. I don't know how perfect their relationship is. But the fact that he used to work for Puffy. And As soon as she left him, she went straight into his arms of her husband. It might be an indication that he saw what was happening and he literally rescued her from this man. He helped her make her escape. And it makes me admire him even more. And I'm very happy that she not only was able to escape from Puffy, but that she was able to, it seems, land into a much better situation. By all indications, he seems to be a very decent man. She's now a mother of 2 daughters. And I think all of this, seeing the birth of her 2 little girls, being with a man who appears to be a good man, who apparently also knows who her former boyfriend, his former boss was. He was a trainer. What's his name? His last name is Fine. He's a fine man. But it seems like all these things have given her the confidence to finally come out and say, not anymore. I am not going to be the keeper of your secrets anymore. I am not going to let any young woman go around you not knowing what you are capable of. And that's another criticism that some people had. Why did you wait so long? Why after all this time did you finally come out? I don't think people understand how difficult it is to speak up when you are in the midst of being ill-treated and abused. I don't think people understand, certainly not men. Men don't understand the fear, the intimidation, the control that paralyzes women when they are in the thick of it, in the midst of it happening to them. And it can take years for you to put everything into perspective, for you to stop blaming yourself, and for you to not be afraid anymore, to give you the courage to speak up. That's why I believe that it is so immoral for there to be statutes of limitations for violent crime, sexual and otherwise. It's really immoral when we understand human nature for you to put a limit. If you don't speak up by such and such a time, you cannot come back and speak up. Why? If the perpetrator is still alive, why wouldn't I be able to finally, when I come to terms with what happened, speak up and put a stop to him? So I understand the timing of it. I understand why she decided to go this route. And the third thing that she got to accomplish, which is the best thing, is that it seems that she has been successful in destroying him once and for all. And now we're seeing more lawsuits coming out. There's actually a criminal complaint that has come out. And I have no doubt that there'll be more that will come out. Because somebody who is capable of doing these horrible acts, they didn't just do it to one person. And somebody with the power and money that Puffy has could have easily done this over and over and over again, feeling that he could get away with it. But thank God it is now coming to an end. We see that his company Revolt has turned against him. There's a charter school in Harlem that he was, I believe, some kind of a patron. They have distanced themselves from him. The liquor company that he was the spokesperson for, they have already sued him in court to cut ties. And I believe that more and more consequences will be coming down. It's never too late to remind young women and young men, because there will be male victims coming out as well, because it's been reported that he has not only been messing with young girls, but also with young men. And I would hope that they would come out to try to save other young people from the fate that they went through back in the day. So it is very important for us to remind young people, especially who are more susceptible for this kind of situations, to always trust your instinct, to never allow anybody to coerce you into doing something that you don't feel comfortable doing. I remember years ago watching an episode of Oprah where she invited, I believe his name is Gavin the Becker, and he wrote a wonderful book called The Gift of Fear. I never read the book, but that episode that I saw on Oprah many decades ago, I was still a teenager when I saw it. It really changed my life. One of the things that author Gavin said that I never forgot when he was on that episode of Oprah, he said, when somebody is offering you something or inviting you somewhere and you say no, and they insist in trying to convince you, the thought that needs to come to your mind is, this person is trying to control me. That's the thought that should come to your mind. It shouldn't be, oh, he just wants to really offer this to me. He's just really nice. He just really wants me to have a good time. He's trying to control you. When you say no, a good, decent man will understand. I will say, okay, no problem. It's okay. He will respect your decision. Somebody who wants to push past your decision, who wants to insist, is trying to control you, and that is never a good thing. And so that stayed with me. So even as I became an adult, my no's meant no. And anytime somebody tried to push past it or was trying to insist and trying to convince me, I immediately looked at them and I said, if it's the last decision I make, I'm going to stick to this because I'm not going to let you control me. And I'm so glad. I'm so thankful for that. I shudder at the thought of what situations that firm no, that decision to stay firm on my no, what situations could that have saved me from? And I am so grateful for that Oprah episode, for that author. And I want to share that with anybody who might be watching this. If you've never heard that before, I hope I'm the one who tells you and saves you from horrible life situations. When you say no, stick to that. And anybody who doesn't respect that, ignore them. Don't argue. Be polite, because it can be a dangerous situation if you're going back and forth with somebody who's unpredictable, maybe unstable. They might want to get violent with you. Don't argue. Just be polite and walk away. This is in no way to blame Cassie for what happened to her. She was a very young girl when she was coerced into a relationship with Puffy. In the declaration, she talks about it. She wasn't even attracted to that man. And he forced her into a relationship. He was her boss. She was signed to his record label. And she felt she had to for her career. And look, no career really ever came from it. And that is so sad. She was such a young girl. She was 19 years old. Think about who you were when you were 19. And if you are 19 right now, trust me, in 10 years, you look back and say, ooh, I was a fetus at 19. I didn't know anything about anything. And so, yeah, these men who are obsessed with getting with very young girls, these older men. And you know what else? This is so disturbing to me. When you look back at the heyday of hip hop, the 90s, the amount of older hip hop artists who were with very young girls. I mean, Russell Simmons started dating Kimora Lee when she was 15. She was in middle school when this grown man got with her. And there were other artists who impregnated girls. It's disgusting what men were able to get away with back in the day. Where were the authorities? Disgusting. And I can't believe that a lot of people see. I was never really a fan of hip hop music. Certainly not the gangster rap garbage when it was going on. I was born and raised in Panama, and we never really were rocking with hip hop heavy back then. But there was a lot of that going on. And with rockers, a lot of these rock stars, they got with very young girls who were groupies, 14, 13. Elvis, I mean, when he met Priscilla, wasn't Priscilla like 12 or 15 years old, something like that? And we glamorize these things, not realizing the power imbalance and the total abuse of power that these grown men were enforcing over these very young girls. These were children. It's disgusting. And so it's a shame that we even went along with it. But we can't pretend that we don't know anymore. We've seen too much. We've heard too much. And it is time for the reckoning. And if we continue to support these artists after we have seen what has happened, after we have seen and heard what went on behind the scenes, then you are complicit. You are just as much of a monster. If you listen to their music, if you support them, you go to their concerts, you buy their merch, you're just as guilty. And I was thinking about this the other day. We know about all the accusations against Chris Brown. And I've always thought to myself, this guy is so problematic, but he makes good music. And I would still listen to his music. I can't listen to it anymore. I cannot, in full conscience, continue to support the career of people who we know to be bad people. So, yeah, I'm gonna miss the music, and I'm holding my breath for the artists that I really like, whose music I still listen to, because if something comes out and I'm convinced that it's the truth, I cannot continue to support them. Not in good conscience. What do you think about Cassie settling? I think it was smart. I mean, a civil case ends with a payment. And as much as he wants to say this is not an admission of guilt, it is. It is. If you were innocent, when that stuff came out, you would have wanted your date in court. You would have wanted to defend yourself and prove beyond as much as you could that you were innocent, and you would have brought witnesses who were around you, all your bodyguards and all your people, and they would have said, no, that never happened. I don't know why she's lying. If you were innocent. But you settled quickly because you knew that it was true what she said, and you were desperate for the rest not to come out. So yeah, the settlement was the conclusion that she was looking for. As for the new cases coming up, I hope that those victims get their day in court. And I hope that Puffy pays for all his crimes. I hope he gets the Harvey Weinstein treatment and gets locked away where he can never again hurt anybody else. So that is the video I wanted to make today. I just wanted to do something different. Just sit here and talk to you, kind of podcast style. Should I have a podcast? Would you listen to it? Thank you for watching this video. Leave a comment if you'd like to contribute something to the conversation. Please give a like if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel. I would like to grow it so that we can have more people here when we have these conversations. Share it with others, and I will see you in the next video.